What's going on, guys, and welcome back to F1 23 for My Team Career Mode Season 1, round number 8, the British Grand Prix. So it is kind of the halfway point of the season now. After this race we will be halfway through, and we'll have contract negotiations after that point as well. We actually have a secondary sponsor change, as Equita Oil, the sponsorship was over, so I decided to go with 7. I think it's just called 7, the sponsor, which is to score 5 Constructors' Championships points on a race weekend. I think, considering how we're doing at the moment, that should be fairly easy to do at most, if not all race weekends when we actually are able to finish. And we basically just redo a bunch of R&D upgrades going into this race weekend, because we had a bunch that failed. I don't think anything really came through. Maybe something, because we do slightly have a little bit of an increase going into this race on R&D. We're still right there with Aston Martin though, but Mercedes have overtaken Ferrari for second place on R&D. So yeah, the Mercedes getting stronger here. Leclerc's been pretty good the last couple of races. He won last time out in Austria and won in Canada as well. But Mercedes looking on top form as well. Red Bull still the top car on R&D, but they've not been having the best races these last little while. I mean, let's remember, Verstappen is the only Red Bull driver to have won a race. He won the first 2 races and hasn't won any races since. He's only been on the podium a couple of times as well. So maybe that Red Bull having a few issues there, even though they are still the quickest on R&D. But as we are in Q1 right here, I do quite like Silverstone. It's never been one of my best tracks, like my best tracks to race on. Q1 here, we end up going P4, but we do see in this game more than ever before really that the AI do seem to build up a lot as they go through qualifying. Iwasa doesn't quite make it into Q2, which is big, because at the end of this race we have contract negotiations, like I said, and I don't know if we're going to keep Iwasa or not. I was originally thinking, yeah, we'll just keep him for the whole season, but I'm now kind of thinking, do I want to swap him out for another driver midway through the season? I might just do that, you know. Really depends what he can do here. If he can score points in this race, because let's be honest, our car should be there scoring points really. If he can score points, I'll give him a second chance, but if he can't, then it's not a slam dunk, but we're definitely going to be having a look at another driver to sign for the second half of this season. Q2, and we're blisteringly quick through Sector 1. Sector 2 and Sector 3 were a little bit more down on pace, but it's a blistering lap this time with a P2 in Q2 here. George Russell tops the timing charts of this one. No real surprises about drivers there. Piastri P11, so he's only just behind Norris there, so that's good for him in the McLaren. And yeah, just kind of all what you would expect, the drivers going out in Q2. And then Q3 comes around and we are going for it once again here. So although I was P4 Q1, I was P2 Q2, the AI are stepping it up quite a lot each session, and I'm pretty much giving it full beans. I mean, I think I improved about half a tenth from Q1 to Q2, but generally I don't improve anywhere near the margin usually that the AI do. So because I'm giving it full beans the whole time. They are not necessarily, you know, the top drivers aren't really, the top drivers of the top teams don't really go for it all that much in Q1 and Q2, because I don't know, they just don't need to, I guess. But we're going for it all the time. And my lap here was decent. Sector 1, not as good. It's not purple through Sector 1 this time, but once again, that is mostly just because the AI were ramping it up a little bit. But ultimately, as well, just not quite as good a lap time this one. It ended up being pretty close. It ended up being about a tenth off my Q2 time, so I actually went quicker in Q2, but it's still going to be a good lap time here for me and for where, you know, this car is as we head into the final chicane. Get that stopped well, get it turned around. You've got to be really patient around this corner here, or else you can step the car out and spin around. We crossed the line. It's P7 for us. We seem to like this position. It's also the number on our car, and it's about where I expect to be. You know, we're behind the 2 Mercedes, behind the 2 Red Bulls, and behind the 2 Ferraris, but we are just about ahead of Alonso, Norris, and Stroll in P10. And yeah, it is George Russell on pole position once again for Mercedes. Verstappen is in a Mercedes sandwich with Hamilton in 3rd. Let's see what's in store for this British Grand Prix.
Welcome everyone as you join us at a former Second World War aircraft base, now converted into one of the great motor racing tracks. Britain is one of only 2 countries to have held a Grand Prix in every year of the Formula One World Championship, and long may that continue. This is Silverstone, and this is the British Grand Prix. With good opportunities to overtake at the end of the Wellington and Hangar Straights, there's a lot of potential for close action around the 3.6 miles of Silverstone circuit. With 18 corners and average lap speeds of around 145 miles per hour, it's also one of the longest and quickest circuits on the calendar. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. What a qualifying yesterday for George Russell. He'll start today's race from pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Leclerc, Sainz, Perez, Davies, Fernando Alonso, Norris, Stroll, Oscar Piastri, Ocon, Tsunoda, Magnussen, Joe, Gasly, Iwasa, Bottas, Hulkenberg, Albon, De Vries, and Logan Sargent. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box. Ant, it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Okay, so it's our home Grand Prix, the British Grand Prix, starting from P7 on the grid, 5 lights on and 5 lights off, and it's away we go. We're starting on the soft tyres, pretty much everybody around us on the mediums, as we get a really good start against everyone else. We have a little look up the inside of Leclerc, but he just about blocks that one off, but we've made 2 positions on Sainz and Perez off the start. Sainz having a little look around the outside of us, but can't quite do anything at the moment. We're on these soft compound tyres. The strategy is actually to go into the mediums, so it's a one stop from soft to mediums, which most of the time this season it's been mediums to hards. So I don't know if it's just this track has less deg, or maybe, you know, we've got some more tyre wear upgrades on the car. Maybe that is helping. I imagine it is, but it's the default strategy that the game gave us, so that's what we're going with. So we want to be punchy at the start of this race. The only other driver, I believe, in the whole top 10 on the soft compound tyres with me is Lewis Hamilton, I believe, who started 3rd. And yeah, we'll see where he is a little bit later on at the moment, because it looks like there's a Red Bull, and that will be Max Verstappen out in front. But we're just continuing on here through Maggots and Beckett's. It's a section of track that I really struggle with, and even on these soft compound tyres, we're not making maybe the gains that I was hoping. As you actually see one of the Mercedes going for a move on Verstappen out front there. We'll have a better look at that in a moment. But yeah, just continuing on here, don't quite have perhaps the pace that I was hoping on these softs, but to be fair, the AI do like to use a lot of battery and go pretty crazy on the first lap, so maybe these softs will come into play later on. As we have another look at the race start here, as you can see, Lewis Hamilton on the inside of his teammate there. Russell gets a bad start from pole position. Verstappen takes the lead, and it's Hamilton second, Russell down to 3rd. Sorry if you can hear my dog, he's scratching himself behind me with his collar on, so you can probably hear that, and then he's having a little shake off there as well. But yeah, Hamilton got up into P2, Verstappen into P1, and as they headed down here, this is what we just saw ahead of us. Hamilton trying to go for the move on Verstappen round the outside. That means he'll have the inside as they come into the chicane, and with those soft compound tyres, Hamilton takes the lead of the British Grand Prix. He hasn't won a race this season so far, his teammate has won 2, so Hamilton will be trying to go for the win at his home Grand Prix. It is of course his teammate's home Grand Prix as well though, but Verstappen might be there to make things more difficult. As our soft tyres are now starting to come up to temperature, we go for a big dive on the inside of Charles Leclerc, but he just has a bit more grip on the outside. Give him the room, and he is just able to stay ahead there, as we then get a little bit caught up wasn't really trying to go for a move into the chicane there, but just got a little bit caught out by where he braked. Maybe I braked a little bit too late, and that means that we have to just kind of settle back behind Sainz once again, and yeah, maybe have another go later on, as now the battle at the front is also, well, Hamilton's gotten away a little bit on those soft compound tyres. Now Russell gone for a move on the Red Bull of Max Verstappen to make it a Mercedes 1-2. He's just about got past, but I think Verstappen is there on the inside, and there he is. He's managed to just about get the position back, so that's really good driving from Max Verstappen. The defending world champion Russell still there in third place, but he will have another go, as we are now catching right up to the back of Charles Leclerc, and with DRS we are really getting very close to him, and we absolutely send it to the inside because we're coming at him with such speed. Can't get the move done there though, and that is actually going to make us a little bit susceptible, I think, from Carlos Sainz, who's now trying to go round the outside of us. He's now got the inside for the second part of the chicane, but we just about stay ahead of him. But we've gone from attacking Leclerc to defending against Sainz, his teammate. Further back, this is a battle between Kevin Magnussen and Yuki Tsunoda here. Magnussen trying to get the move done on his teammate, but not quite able to, not his teammate, on his fellow racer here. He's going to try and go for it in the next phase though, and then you've also got Pierre Gasly there, who's now dived up the inside of his old teammate of Yuki Tsunoda. So Magnussen is past. Now it is Gasly versus Tsunoda, the two former teammates at AlphaTauri. Gasly trying to keep his car there alongside Tsunoda. That Alpine, it's actually not a great car. It is better than Alpine, than AlphaTauri on R&D, but they're not. I think they're like the ninth best car, so like the third worst Alpine now. As Iwasa is in this fight too. He's going for a move on Gasly, trying to get another position here for him after starting a fair way down the order after another pretty disappointing qualifying. But unfortunately Iwasa can't quite do anything there. But he might have the run as they head down this next straight with DRS. Our car has a very good engine, very good straight line speed, and even though I'm pretty sure Gasly did have DRS there, Iwasa's still able to get his car alongside, and they're going to be side by side through this next sector here. This is an amazing battle that is unfolding right here, but in the end Gasly does just about stay ahead. Now we still have Leclerc ahead of us, and we still just about have DRS, but then out of nowhere Sainz absolutely powers alongside us. I wasn't really expecting him to come for us there, and at this point the soft tyres are starting to go a little bit, but we just about stay ahead of Sainz, chop him off, make sure to sit right in the middle of the road. That's now lost us DRS though from Leclerc. He's now over a second ahead of us, so that's going to make it difficult to keep defending from Sainz. And sure enough, as we head into turn one, we're having to go a little bit defensive to the right through this corner here. We're just not quite feeling the grip in these tyres anymore, and Sainz is going for a move round the outside. Great little move from him there inside for the next corner. We're going to try and stay on the outside, but we just can't quite do anything. But we get a better run out of that corner, but actually have to lift off because Sainz is just blocking us right ahead. We don't have DRS, but we're still, with our amazing speed and ERS, able to go round the outside of the next corner. Great little battle between me and Sainz here. This is letting Leclerc kind of get away in front of us though, as we're still side by side as we come down the straight here and coming up towards Copse. I think we're just about ahead of Sainz, and now Perez is going for the move on Sainz as well. They're side by side through Copse corner. Sainz manages to just about stay ahead though, and he's going to still try and have a look at us as we go very close through Maggots and Beckett's around this twisty S's section. Come out of here now. We do not have DRS anymore from Leclerc. He has buggered off over 2 seconds up the road from us, and that's going to be a pretty easy overtake for Sainz, and Perez is probably going to get us as well on the outside. I'm not going to fight that one too hard there because we don't have DRS. We are running out of ERS as well, and I just have to let those two go, but it was a very well thought battle. Just behind us, and Fernando Alonso trying to get past Lando Norris in the McLaren. Good little battle developing between these two here as they are side by side through Maggots and Beckett's through the S's section and up this next straight. I believe they both have DRS, but in the end Alonso will just about get ahead of Norris and move up another position to just behind us. at the front of the field, and now Lewis Hamilton starting to feel the tyre wear on those soft compound tyres, and his teammate George Russell is coming back for that P1, and he's got the move done before they get to the chicane. George Russell back up into the lead of this race from pole position. And Hamilton is going to start to struggle a bit, but he's still going to be able to be there to come back at Russell as it's 3 wide. As they head into the next corner, Hamilton and Verstappen have both gotten past Russell. It's now Hamilton v Verstappen down to the chicane. We've seen this before, that's for sure. Hamilton, though, just about stays ahead of the former world champion from last season. And yeah, this is a battle that's going to be going on for a long time, I think. As now Carlos Sainz up ahead of us seems to have an issue, and I think Sergio Perez just made contact with him through that corner, and I believe that Carlos Sainz is pulling over. Yes, that is smoke coming out of the back of the Ferrari, and that is Perez out of this race. So unlucky for him, but this is what happened with Sergio Perez. You don't see anything fly off, but he has now got front wing damage, and we catch right up to Perez here because he's really struggling. We're coming in on this lap though, so I'm actually going to try here, see if I can get in front of him before the pits. Oh, but I can't quite, but it's not going to matter. We're going to get past him anyway because he's going to have to change his front wing, so that is not great for Perez. As there's a bit of a battle going on here between a Haas, the 2 Alfa Romeos, and I think a Williams, as Zhou Guanyu goes through, and he's crashed into the back of the Haas of, I think, Nico Hülkenberg. What has happened there? That is Zhou Guanyu out of the session. Hülkenberg goes really wide. I think he has a bit of a lock-up through that corner, comes back onto the track, unsighted by Zhou Guanyu, and he runs into the back of him. Zhou Guanyu is out of the session, and that has pulled out the safety car, and it's actually really good timing because we just came into the pits. The safety car came out as we were in the pit lane, so that could really work out for us. Could also work out for Perez here. He's got to do a front wing change, but it's going to be minimized a lot thanks to this safety car, and as we get going again, the leaders have all come in as well. I think they had to come in next lap around though. Most people on the hard compound tyres here. We're on the mediums though, because we've gone soft to medium. Those guys have gone medium to hard, and I don't know if that's going to work out for them, but I guess they had to come into the pits there under the safety car. You know, it just would be silly if they didn't, but they weren't going to be able to get to the end on soft, so I guess that was the only option they had, those medium tyre runners. As now Hamilton is now on the mediums, Russell's on the hards, and Hamilton has gotten back past his teammate, but Russell is going to fight it back. This is a great battle between these two. I mean, Verstappen's involved as well, but just seeing the 2 Mercedes fight it out at the front, 2 British Mercedes drivers at the British Grand Prix, battle it out for the race win. It's awesome to see, as now Hamilton's still trying to go around the outside this time, which will give him the inside for the next corner, and this time he may have done it. Russell's still there, but not quite. He has to concede the position. Hamilton back up into the lead of the British Grand Prix. Those yellow flags up ahead of us. What's going on here? It's Charles Leclerc, the other Ferrari, is also pulling over with smoke coming out of his engine as well, and that is both Ferraris out of this race with mechanical failures. What a disappointment for them, running in pretty good positions. Both Ferraris out within 5 or 6 laps of each other with mechanical failures. Russell gets back up into the lead of this race. This is still going on. These 3 kind of getting away from everybody else. Hamilton, though, is actually trying to come back into the chicane. He's just about got his car there, but can't quite do anything, and that might have actually compromised him to Verstappen behind now, as now Verstappen has a look up the inside into turn 1. We can't quite see what's happened at the moment, but as we head through, Verstappen is now up into P2, so this battle at the front continues on and on and on. This is now the battle for the final points position of P10, currently held by Oscar Piastri, but Kevin Magnussen is trying to get this final point. He's trying to score his first points of the season, and Haas's first points as well. Haas, the only team so far not to have scored a point, but Magnussen couldn't quite get past him there, but with the DRS down this next straight, he's going to now go for the move and get up past Oscar Piastri, and that puts Magnussen in the Haas into the top 10 to try and score their first points of the season and get them off the mark. as we continue on, and we actually, well, we're losing considerable time to the Mercedes and Verstappen ahead. We just don't have the pace of those guys, even with them on the hard tyres, apart from Hamilton on the mediums, and we are slowly getting caught by Alonso as well. So our pace is not looking amazing at the moment. We should be about good with Alonso, but even on a better compounded tyres, Alonso is slowly catching us, but it is very minimal. The battle here continues on and on. Verstappen managed to get into the lead. Now Russell's coming back at him into Magnussen Beckett. He gets the move. That is an amazing overtake for George Russell. He is absolutely setting the track alight here. But now he's got past, but now Verstappen will have the DRS, and that Red Bull's very, very quick, and he breezes past the British driver to retake the lead of this race. This is such an epic battle at the front here, but the battle at the back of the points continues as well. Magnussen's got that P10 at the moment, but Piastri's coming back at him again. He wants that final point here. You've also got my teammate Iwasa and Gasly also battling it out there for this final point, so maybe Iwasa can score 1 point here. Let's see. It's currently held by Magnussen, but now it's going to be 3 wide as they go down the straight, and Iwasa has gotten himself up into that P10 position. If he can score a P10 finish here, we may very well keep him on for the remainder of the season, but it's going to be very close with him there. He has definitely battled it out this season though, as Russell once again going toe-to-toe with Verstappen through Magnussen Beckett. It's just the driving and the precision by all 3 of these drivers is amazing. That squabbling has now let Hamilton get back into the fight, and it's 3 wide with these guys at the front of the field. All 3 of them side by side through this section. Verstappen loses out this time. Hamilton now battling with his teammate for the race victory. But as we head on to the final lap, Russell retakes the lead of this race and has just got to hold on for 1 more lap. Now, the final lap for us, and my voice is really starting to go here because I've just been talking and talking. So much action here. We got a bit of a bad run out of that corner, and as we head into Copse, Alonso has the better run on us, and he's going to try and go round the outside of Copse. We're going to give him the room though, but we're going to just about keep the position. And as we head through Magnussen Beckett though, these medium tyres are now starting to feel a little bit worn. The hard tyres are definitely the better tyre now, and as we head down this straight for the final time, I don't have the battery to deploy, and Alonso does. He just swoops around the outside, and I just 2% battery. I don't have the deployment left, and there's nothing I can do. Alonso's going to pip us to P4 right at the end here. And as the leaders head on to the final lap, Hamilton is trying to go. Well, actually, no, this is around Copse, isn't it? Hamilton goes up the inside of Copse on Russell. It's a battle between the 2 Mercedes for the race victory here. Hamilton just ahead at the moment, but as we head around this very, very tricky section here, they're side by side down this straight. Who has the DRS? None of them. Neither of them seem to have DRS. Verstappen does though. He's sniffing around here. Hamilton's on the inside. Russell's on the outside. This is going to be a near photo finish here. They're still side by side as they go into the chicane. Russell has the inside line, and he's managed to get the lead or keep the lead, and Russell will go on after this mega battle between these 3 to win the British Grand Prix. Hamilton comes home for a Mercedes 1-2 finish. I believe it's the first 1-2 finish in this career mode, and Verstappen comes home P3. What a battle at the front. And this is the battle for P10. Iwasa had it, but Piastri has managed to get up into P10, and now Iwasa's under threat from Magnussen behind for P11, and that has let Magnussen has got through for P11, so it's going to be Piastri finishing in P10 for that final points position. Magnussen P11, Iwasa ends up P12 with Gasly P13, so Iwasa doesn't get a point in this race, so that... I mean, he's really done well this race. He has fought really well. We come home P5, just missing out on that P4 from Alonso. Iwasa fought well here, but I mean, if he had a better qualifying, he probably could have had points here, so I don't know what to do.
Well, they've done a brilliant job, I must say, under some intense pressure to take a well-earned victory here at the British Grand Prix. Well, Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today, but what set them apart from the rest?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. and that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners.
So yeah, a 1-2 for Mercedes, and like I said, I think that is the first 1-2 of any team in this career mode so far, so that's pretty crazy. Russell comes home for the win, his third win of the season, to just grow his lead at the front of the championship. Hamilton though, P2, very well fought from him. I was kind of hoping he would take the win, but unfortunately didn't quite do it. Verstappen ends up P3 there, but it was a great battle between these three. Leclerc was somewhat in that fight as well before his mechanical failure. Alonso pipped us to P4, unfortunately. It's P5 for us. Then it's Norris, Perez, Ocon, Stroll, and Piastri picks up that final point. And yeah, Iwasa P12. I really don't know, because he fought really well in that race from P17 to P12, battling for P10, and he was in P10 until the final sector of that final lap. Yeah, I don't know. He really needs to improve his qualifying, and he's just not been doing that. So I don't know what we're going to do next time with the contract negotiations. George Russell now has a 27-point lead on Charles Leclerc in the Drivers' Championship. That is crazy. The fact that halfway through the season, Russell has over a race wins worth of points lead is pretty insane. So and yeah, Verstappen not even second, he's third, even with Leclerc's DNF. And in the constructors, Mercedes are leading the way. I can't remember, I think they were after the last round as well. Red Bull second, Ferrari third. We are a fair way back and forth, still battling with Aston Martin, but we've got a bit of a gap over them at the moment. And yeah, that is it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.